3 points and top of the group, but Scotland do it the hard way against Haiti. What will Steve Clarke change for the match with Morocco? Hello, I'm Jonathan Sutherland, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Monday the 15th of June. And Scotland sit top of Group C after victory over Haiti.
Low ball and Adams save, comes out to McGinn, tries to get the goalwards, it's in! Scotland are in front, and it's John McGinn who has got Scotland's first World Cup goal of this campaign!
Super John McGinn strikes, but it was a nerve-shredding watch. However, we end up with 3 vital points.
I think the way the game panned out second half, we had something to hold on to. We defended really well. Could have been better with the ball. That's my only little downside. But listen, everyone told us it's a must-win game, and we've won it.
But will we see the same players or the same formation against an impressive Morocco? And will Derek McInnes make the move to Rangers?
I think Derek McInnes does tick every box. It's just another hammer blow for Hearts, isn't it? 4 weeks ago, they were sitting minutes away from winning their first league title since 1960. Since then, they've lost the league, they've lost their captain to Rangers, now they've lost their manager.
When it comes to the storylines, does Scottish football ever let us down? Of course not.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
I'm delighted to say we are joined today by Andy Halliday and Scott Allan. And Scott, if I'll come to you first, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but I felt like one of the least enjoyable Scotland wins of my life for some reason. Of course, relief and hope remains, and 3 points was what it was all about. So why do I feel like I've been through some kind of grueling operation? Although I am slightly feeling a bit better today.
I just think because there was so much optimism getting into the game, more so about performance. And listen, I totally understand it's the first game of the World Cup in such a long time. That has been said over and over again. But it was against a team where you fully expect to go out and the performance be a lot better. And I think me and Andy, obviously, as pundits, you as a presenter and Scotland fan who watch a lot of Scotland throughout the year, I think we're allowed to expect the performance to be better. But ultimately, when you perform like that, coming away with 3 points, I think it was a really good win in the end. But I just feel that one goal, I'd have been much happier if it was 2, because I think we're going to be relying on goal difference to then qualify throughout the group. But as much as it was a win, the performance did leave one of the feelings where you're looking at it going, could have been so much better.
Andy, good morning to you. How are you feeling? How were you feeling during the match? I mean, I described it as nerve-shredding in the intro, and I don't think I really did enjoy it until, well, obviously the goal went in, but then after that, really just the final whistle.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying last week, Jonathan, that I expected us to win the game, and I didn't think it would be as comfortable as maybe the nation thought going into it, just because I think we're all going in with a lot of expectation given how well the performance was against Bolivia. But I didn't think it would be as difficult as we made it, I must admit. I thought I was really surprised with our approach off the ball. I don't think it was our best performance on the ball, but I think you can have days like that. But I thought off the ball, we were really passive in the game against a nation that I would really expect us to go and dominate. Listen, it so coincides that it's the best World Cup win in my lifetime, because it's also the worst because it's the first one, so I can't be too disappointed. I think Steve Clarke said it was a must-win game, but like I says, I was hoping it be a wee bit more entertaining than what it was. And like Scott said, I think even if we got that one more goal, I think we're pretty much through. I think given the way the goal difference will set up at the end of the group stage, I think a -2 goal difference makes it an almost probability of 70% that you're going to go through the group. And I just think that one goal, no, it remains to be seen, will it be enough?
Still plenty of scope in those percentages, Andy, for glorious failure for Scotland, right enough, even if we got in that second goal. But I take your point, absolutely. And I was actually having a look back at Scotland's history at the World Cup finals. You know what actually occurred to me, Scott, was that this was actually the first Scotland victory at a World Cup finals that I've witnessed, and I'm a bit older than you. I'm 49, and actually, because I experienced the Italia 90, but I was so scunnered by Scotland losing to Costa Rica that I boycotted the Sweden match to go to the Delting Dolphin Swimming Club disco instead. And so I missed the Sweden victory. Still not sure if that was the right decision or not, because it was a good disco. But I couldn't actually believe that we've won so few matches at the World Cup finals. This was our fifth. Can you actually, this is a little quiz before the quickfire quiz at the end, can you reel off Scotland's victories at the World Cup finals?
Sweden,
yep, 1990.
Zaire.
1974, correct, Andy?
It was Belgium. Belgium won.
Are you saying Belgium, Andy? No Belgium, no.
I've got one more guess, then I'm out.
Oh dear.
I think did we beat Netherlands?
We did, 1978, Archie Gemmel's goal.
Archie Gemmel's goal, yeah.
So you're looking for, obviously we've just beaten Haiti. We're looking for one more.
Do we get give us a year?
1982.
Nah, I'm out, unfortunately. I'd be guessing every nation that went to the World Cup.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, interesting. It was New Zealand. We beat New Zealand 5-2 in 1982. I can't believe it. We only managed 5 victories in World Cup finals. That puts everything into context. And although I feel a bit like I started this doom and gloom, it's actually massive that Scotland have gotten this 3 points against Haiti. But when you talk about 1974 against Zaire, the big, I think, crushing disappointment back then was that we only beat Zaire by 2-0, which does bring up that kind of idea of goal difference being so important, because we went out of the 1974 World Cup without losing a match. In fact, we drew 0-0 with Brazil. So lots to ponder about all of this. And the big question now, as we look ahead to Friday, Scott, has to be, what changes should Scotland make against Morocco?
I think there's no getting away if we won't see the 4-4-2 against Morocco. So you expect one of the strikers to drop out. I think Christie will come in just for his energy, out of possession. So one of the strikers, probably looking at it, I think Shankland will drop out in that game.
Yeah.
And then out with that, if we can consistently give the ball away in the manner that we did against a team like Morocco. When I watched the Morocco-Brazil game, I thought they looked, especially first half, I thought they looked full of energy, legs, pace. The 18-year-old in the middle of the park was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. He was all over the place, and then he had that real quality in the ball, looking to play forward. So if we're just losing possession as we were against Haiti, then it could be a really, really tough night. And that's when, as Andy says, we talk about that goal difference could play a major part of it. I think right now you're looking at it, can we just defend really well, because we ain't going to have most of the ball. If you ain't going to have the ball against Haiti, you ain't going to have the ball against Morocco for me. And I think that was one of the things that, looking at the Haiti game, to drop off into like a mid-block and be passive, as Andy says, against a team who had been at World Cup and even longer than us, and not put them under pressure and let them settle into the game. That was, you do that against teams like Morocco, they just find their groove so easy, and they settle into the game really well, and it becomes really difficult for Scotland to get out the half. So that'll be the changes. We'll obviously be dropped back into a low block, because that's what we've seen against the kind of better nations that we've played against. And then ultimately the performance has to be a lot better in and out of possession, and that is getting close to people, making contact, and then on the ball, because if you constantly give the ball away, especially in that heat, then we're going to be punished.
Andy, how do you see it? Will we revert to a sort of 4-5-1 that's aspiring at times maybe to be a 4-3-3? And as Scott mentions there, we talked a lot last week about who would miss out. Would it be Ryan Christie or John McGinn, unbelievably? And obviously John McGinn starts against Haiti. Are we looking at Lawrence Shankland dropping out against Morocco?
Yeah, I fully expect a change of shape. For me, I think it will be either or, whether it will be a 4-5-1, or do we actually drop into that 5 at the back that Steve Clarke's deployed so often. I think we've got 5 centre-halves at the World Cup. We've got 3 right-backs at the World Cup. We've got Kieran Tierney, who I think over the past, such as his quality, would always try and fit him into a team. So I think that's the 2 options for me. And I must admit, I do think it would be the right one. I I don't think we can give Morocco the amount of space that we gave Haiti and expect it to get a positive result at the end of it. So I think whether we play that extra midfielder to try and get us a little bit more control of the ball when we win it back, or do we actually play that extra centre half to give us that wee bit more cover at the back and allow us to defend our box, which I must say I do think we've done extremely well against Haiti. I think out of everything that maybe didn't go our way in terms of performance levels, I think the one thing that certainly worked was the back four that Steve Clarke did pick, because I think there was a lot of speculation who would be that centre half partnership. And I think it has to be said, sorry, I think it has to be said that I think Jack Canway and Grant Hanley handled the game and handled the occasion ever so well. So I think they're the kind of main thoughts I think he'll go with, and I think that partnership with Che Adams, and Lon Shanklin, I think were excellent in the build-up games, but I don't think they made it stick as well as they did the previous two games, and I think Lon Shanklin probably was the one that struggled the most out of the two of them, so I expect that he'll be the one that drops out.
Yeah, Che Adams certainly played a big part in the lead up to the John McGinn goal. Scott, do you expect this sort of different almost psychology from Scotland going into this next match against Morocco, where we are not the favourites going in against Morocco like we were against Haiti? There won't be the same sort of weight of history, I feel, going into the Morocco game, because it was all about the return of Scotland to the World Cup final stage against Haiti and how vital it was to get 3 points. That must have weighed massively on the shoulders of the players and Steve Clarke and everybody involved. That's gone now. That's been dealt with. This is Morocco. Nobody's expecting Scotland to win this match. That's got to change the mentality. And could it help Scotland a little bit, do you feel? Because it was a bit nervy at times, obviously, against Haiti.
Yeah, and Steve Clarke touched on that after the game. He said about a must-win game. But it was a must-win game, and it's a game that we should win against Haiti because we have better footballers and guys who, John McGinn left in Europa League with Aston Villa, Andy Robertson's won the Champions League, McTominay's been playing in Italy, Shea Adams over in Italy, so we had a lot of guys experienced the top level football, and so we were right to think that was a must-win game. There's no getting away from that. But I do think that there's no getting away that nerves do play a part. It's a big occasion for all the players. But I do think that does then take it away slightly. I think Scotland and Steve Clarke especially prefer getting in as the underdog and making it really difficult for the opponent. You see that in some of the other games, even a team like Japan, who I watched last night, sat off Holland and tried to frustrate them throughout the game. So I do think it's a system and style that we've seen under Steve Clarke for most of his tenure, where we're behind the ball and we're looking to obviously spring on the counter-attack. What I would say in that sense is, whenever we got the ball to Ben Gannon Doak, there's real intent there for him to go by someone and put a ball in the box. So that is obviously going to be your main outlet if you are sat behind the ball. It's then about, can we get bodies in the box to get on the end of the crosses. But I do feel, as you said, Jonathan, that the psyche of the game will be a lot different. Obviously getting the 3 points and knowing that the Scotland players would have seen parts of that game and understand some of the quality that Morocco have throughout that squad. But I'm with Andy. There's no other way for us to be. We cannot be open against Morocco, or we will get punished.
You mentioned Ben Gannon Doak there, Scott and Andy. I was really worried when I saw Ben Gannon Doak go down. I thought, those are his hamstrings gone again. But then nothing's really been said about that. And he had the big straps on at the end, I noticed, obviously. Well, what was your take on it? I mean, I'm taken from the fact that nothing much has been said about it, that it's maybe not that serious, actually. But at the time, I was very concerned. And obviously, it feels suddenly that we knew we needed him, but we really need him, it feels like, at this tournament.
Yeah, I think he's such an important player for Scotland. For me, in my lifetime, I don't think we've had a player like Ben Gannon Doak. He gets the proverbial bums off seats every time that he gets the ball. I think he offers so much exciting in that final third for Scotland. I thought there was some interesting takes for Steve Clarke in his post-match press conference, and I think one of the journalists singled out Lewis Ferguson and Ben Gannon Doak to him, and he almost shot down the Ben Gannon Doak phrase and thought that the fullback for Haiti done a really good job. But for me, I thought he was comfortably our most exciting player in an attacking sense. And I think we've spoken about it so often that everything doesn't come off all the time for Ben Gannon, and not just Ben Gannon, any winger in world football. But it's that fearlessness, it's that intent, it's that every time that I get the ball, I want to try and make a difference, and I want to get at my fullback, and I want to try and create something for my team or for my nation. And for me, I thought he'd done that extremely well. And you look at our best chances in particularly in the first half, everything came down that right hand side for Ben Gannon Doak. So for me, you talk about first names in the team sheet. I mean, at his age, he's already one of them. I mean, he's a must play. And like he says, I definitely echo the sentiment that any time he goes down at this moment in time, there's a worry there, just given his previous injuries. I think he only made 72 minutes in 7 appearances in the Premier League across the full season for Bournemouth last year. So he's already played more minutes for Scotland at the World Cup than he did in his club football all last season long. But yeah, you're absolutely spot on in terms of he's of such vital importance for us.
Scott, in terms of the goalkeeping situation, I was on Sports Sound on Saturday afternoon in the build-up to the match. Darren Jackson and Craig Levine in the studio, and we were discussing all the positions, obviously. And, they were adamant. They felt that Craig Gordon should be the man between the sticks. And obviously it would end up being Angus Gunn. Their point was Craig Gordon sort of radiates this calmness and assuredness that sort of transmits to the rest of the team. Do you think Steve Clarke will stick with Angus Gunn? He wasn't overly worked. There was that one moment where he did obviously spill the ball and there was a bit of a scramble to get it clear. There's been debate over whether Steve Clarke will stick with one goalkeeper for all 3 matches. Because it was a clean sheet, does he just stick with Angus Gunn, or does Craig Gordon have a chance? How do you read that?
It's a really interesting situation, because I was on the Craig Gordon boat as well. I fully expect him to play just for his experience alone. He is the best goalkeeper out of the 3. Age will also maybe play a part in that for the decision why Angus Gunn came into the team. But I think I spoke to someone about this yesterday. But I think a game against Morocco, you are going to get worked. Me personally, I would still go with Craig Gordon. You can flip that and go, yes, Angus Gunn got a clean sheet. You speak about that one moment that he spilled that should be a comfortable save. Other than that, as much as it wasn't a comfortable game against Haiti and they looked to counter us and they looked dangerous at times, he didn't actually get troubled too much. But ultimately that was down to the 2 centre-backs in front of him as well, and how well they defended the box, as Andy spoke about at the top of the show. But you feel for that level of game, if I was in charge of the team, I think I would go with Craig Gordon. But whether he does that or not is Steve Clarke is probably one of the most unpredictable Scotland managers ever to decide what team's going to play on from game to game. But me personally, I would go Craig Gordon in this sort of fixture.
Who would you opt for, Andy?
I would stick with Angus Gunn. I was going into the game against Haiti, I was 55% Angus Gunn, 45% Craig Gordon. But I made the reference that I wouldn't be kicking up a fuss if I seen Craig Gordon in the lineup. But I think my reasoning was that, I mean, Craig Gordon's got a history of making incredible comebacks when you feel like he's down and out. But I think the fact that he's missed so much training this year, so I think goalkeepers, there will be an element of rustiness if you've not played for a long period of time. I mean, Angus Gunn's not played, Liam Kelly's not played, Craig Gordon's not played, our 3 goalkeepers at the World Cup. But at 43 years of age, to miss that much training this year, there must be a real lack of sharpness. And for me, that was the sole reason that I gave Angus Gunn the nod. And I think it's still been vindicated in the sense that he has kept a clean sheet. Yes, there was that sort of shaky moment when the ball came into the box in the first half. But I thought from then on in, I thought he was calm. I thought he was assured. I thought Haiti put a lot of crosses into the box in the second half. I thought he commanded his box well after that. And I think you want to try and have as much a settled team as you possibly can. None more so than your back 5, your defence and your goalkeeper. So I think, given that we just spoke about Scotland defending their box extremely well, Angus Gunn was obviously a part of that clean sheet. Sorry. So I don't see for me any reason to change that position.
We were just talking a little bit before we sort of started the podcast about enjoying this World Cup, and the times of these matches is making it quite tricky. I must admit, I'm kind of waking up some mornings and just watching the highlights of the games. I just watched the Ivory Coast there with their victory against Ecuador. I mean, I don't know how many times the ball hit the woodwork in that match, but I think Ecuador were obviously hugely unlucky. Amad Diallo, former Rangers loan player, getting the winning goal for Ivory Coast, and I still call him former Celtic player Virgil van Dijk, obviously on the score sheet for Netherlands, and what looked like a brilliant game between them and Japan ended up in a draw. But there's plenty of goals around in this World Cup. Obviously, Germany, Scott thrashing Curacao 7-1 as well. And you do fear and wonder a little bit about goal difference. And I don't know what you think is going to happen against Morocco. I know it feels a bit early to be making predictions, but how confident at this moment do you feel that Scotland will emerge from Group C?
Very difficult to say, Jonathan. I think if I'd probably take a 1-0 to Morocco if you asked me just now. And looking at Brazil, feel that if it was to go down to the last game, it could be maybe sneak something against Brazil, whether that was a draw or not. I think out the two, I feel that we look most likely suited to getting something against Brazil. They didn't play with the same intensity that Morocco did for me, which I think could cause us problems. But I just hope we're not sitting here in a few weeks' time really regretting that we didn't get another couple of goals against Haiti. But it would be the Scotland way, wouldn't it? I don't want to seem negative, but you look at the next two games, two teams in the top 10 rankings of national teams in the world. Going to be very difficult games. But if you look at us over the course of the year, you look at the World Cup qualification, how we managed to get results and obviously top the group. You then look the other night, but nowhere near as good a performance as we were expecting. You get the win, so maybe we're just in one of the moments in time where Scotland seem to be riding a little bit of luck. So hopefully we can get something out one of the games.
Andy, how would you gauge your optimism right now?
Not very high, Jonathan, I must admit. I agree with Scott. I don't see a 1-0 defeat as a poor result, given that I do think goal difference will probably be the manner that we qualify for this group. That being said, if we have the same level of performance or worse than we did against Haiti and we get a draw out that game, I can assure you I'll celebrate it more than I did than the Haiti game. But I see Morocco as the most difficult game out of the three, personally. Top 10 in the World Nations, obviously won the African Cup of Nations. They got to the World Cup semi-finals in the last World Cup. So I think they're a team that you look at the lineup and you don't know every individual as much as you would the Brazil team. But I think as a team, I think they've proven over the last few years that they're a real top side. But the key word, I think, for Steve Clarke's post-match press conference was resilience. He mentioned it so many times. And if we can be at a resilient best against Morocco, then listen, you never know. There's certainly a team that you can get a result against if you play at your very, very best. It's can we, produce our very, very best so few days after that Haiti game.
Let's hope so. Scotland off to a winning start at the World Cup. While all of that is going on at the World Cup, there is a deluge of domestic drama on this side of the Atlantic. According to reports, it is looking increasingly likely that Derek McInnes will leave Hearts to join Rangers and replace Danny Röhl, who's heading to RB Salzburg, it seems. First, Lawrence Shankland leaves to join Rangers. Now, Derek McInnes, Scott Allan. And that's certainly how it looks like. It's not all been signed and sealed, but it certainly seems to be heading that way. How much of a body blow is this to Hearts?
Well, this is the interesting part, Jonathan. I'm looking at, this is where your Jamestown analytics then comes into play, because everything is meant to just have things in place. If you're to lose a Shankland, if you're to lose a manager and someone else comes in, that's how the whole data system works for them. So I think it's a body blow, because I think out of managers throughout the league, I think Derek McInnes is one of the best. I think that's one of the reasons why I think he'll be a really good fit for Rangers. Danny Röhl, more of a coach, analyst sort of background. Derek McInnes has obviously had huge experience within the Scottish League and knows these things inside out. But for me, I think Hearts will be, I think they'll be disappointed, but I think they'll already be looking at candidates who, and I've probably had a database sitting there if Derek McInnes was to go after such a fine season with Hearts last year, that they'll have someone to come in and maybe suit the Tony Bloom way of playing first and foremost. And I think it'll be someone who we probably don't even know at this moment in time. I think that'll be how Hearts will look this season, and it'll be Rangers' gain. I do feel how Rangers performed in the split, and a lot of the tactical decisions that Daniel did make in the split. I felt like down the line, if he wasn't to start well when the Premiership season started off, I think he'd have been under immense pressure early doors, and I don't think Rangers can afford to have that same sort of start to a season that they did last year with Russell Martin. So Derek McInnes, when you were talking about Scottish Premiership football, is a safe pair of hands.
I don't think I'm spilling any state secrets to say that you both grew up as Rangers fans, of course, in the same classroom together. I've seen you sitting side by side in the classroom with your Rangers tops on. Maybe not quite now.
Not allowed that in school. No football colours.
Quite right. But Andy, how excited are you about the prospect of Derek McInnes being the next Rangers manager, if it transpires that Danny Rowe leaves to join RB Salzburg?
Well, I think if you offered me that Rangers would make a profit and swap their manager from Danny Rowe to Derek McInnes, I don't think there's a Rangers fan in world football that wouldn't have took it. And it such transpires that that's going to be happening. I feel as if, again, to echo what Scotty says, I think Danny Rowe was going to be under immense pressure at the start of this season, and it would have been quite possible that Rangers would have had to pay money to relieve him from his duties very early on into the season. And it so happened that they've managed to make a profit and getting another manager under their belt. And for me, they're bringing in a manager, not a coach, not a young promising coach. They're bringing in a manager with a proven track record in Scottish football. And I've said it so often that I think to be the manager of Rangers or Celtic for that matter, I think you have to be a lot more than just a young promising coach. I think Derek McInnes ticks a lot of boxes for Rangers. So I think it's exciting times. We wondered if we could get even half of how crazy last season was, and I think before the season's even started, we're already getting some cracking headlines, it's got to be said. And I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I'm already got one eye on that first Old Firm game next season with Martin O'Neill in the Celtic dugout and Derek McInnes in the Rangers dugout. It could be fireworks.
Incredible. I'm just thinking about, Derek McInnes returning to Tynecastle with Lawrence Shankland as well at Rangers. And it's just, I think, Scott, as well, it is just a stark reminder of the traditional power structure that has dominated Scottish football for 100 years plus. And I take your point, absolutely. You kind of expect Tony Bloom and Jamestown Analytics to pull some rabbits out of hats right here, but they went some way to being the disruptors last season, but it's just throwing down that gauntlet again to them to show how much of a challenge it is to really unseat the old firm, if you like, as the traditional power brokers.
Yeah, and that is the reality of Scottish football, and has been for such a long time. And Hearts, as you said, the main disruptors of that last year. But what I think that does, that just gives Tony Bloom the bit between his teeth. I think that makes him even more determined. I think when you look at how he's operated, Union St Joe, especially Brighton, I think, and he would have seen firsthand what it's like to be right in amongst it in the Scottish Premiership this season. He's felt the atmosphere at the ground. I just think that gives him the bit between his teeth. I really do. And the key word, obviously, speaking about Scotland, resilience, that is something that Hearts showed in abundance as a team, first and foremost, last year. But I feel Tony Bloom goes out and goes, okay, what have we got next? And he'll look to really strengthen Hearts this year.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I was genuinely thinking this yesterday, that I mean, Hearts were the story makers last season. They were incredible all season long. We couldn't give them enough praise. And with 5 minutes to go at Celtic Park, if you could have told a Hearts fan that you're going to lose this league in the last 3 minutes, and in 2 weeks you're going to lose your captain, and in 3 weeks you're going to lose your manager. I mean, for the 85th minute at Celtic Park, a penny for the thoughts for the Hearts fans over the last 3 weeks, because what a tough time they're having.
It's been incredible. It's been absolutely, you could not write it, absolutely. Right, let's return to the World Cup before we sign off here with some quick fire questions. We've remodeled these quick fire questions, guys, so this is going to really get the brains going in this early hour of the morning. So let's go for it, shall we? And we've kind of touched on some of these, but let's do them. Scott Allan, will Scotland go through?
Yes.
That sounded a little bit more like heart than head. But anyway, I'll take it. Andy Halliday, same question. Will Scotland go through?
Yes.
That was a bit more
By the
confident.
skin of their teeth.
Just.
Okay, next question. What's been your moment of the World Cup so far, and not the John McGinn goal, Scott?
The national anthem.
Oh yeah, it was a bit out of sync at the end was my only disappointment, but these things...
The noise. The noise with goosebumps. I thought the national anthem was... I was jealous. I wish I was there.
Me too, absolutely. Andy?
I'm between two. I'd say the social media videos of the Tartan Army over in America, or the vibrancy of the nation around what I've seen in Glasgow over the last week.
Is there a social media video in particular that's caught your eye?
Two, there was one of a police officer in New York doing keep-ups with all the Tartan Army around him that I absolutely loved. And then I also noticed that one member of the Tartan Army ended up in what was described as a rough neighbourhood, having a drink with all the locals. Loved that.
Did he survive?
That was good. I think so. I mean, survived enough to post a video, so...
Good. Okay, who's winning the World Cup, Scott Allan?
Spain.
Andy?
France.
Who's going to be the hero of the World Cup, Scott?
Lamine Yamal.
Good show. Andy Halliday.
He's took my favourite player off me. I need to change it. I'm going to go Lionel Messi again.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. Again?
Listen, I've just predicted France, but Argentina could easily go back to back, I think.
Apparently he doesn't run anymore, is the only thing.
That's been for the last 15 years. That's still the best.
Give him the ball, Jonathan.
Okay, and this is a tough one to end on. This is a really tough one. It's actually a hospital passive question, but let's see how you get on with it. Scott Allan, who is going to be the villain of the World Cup?
Thomas Tuchel.
Good answer. That's you can see that. Andy.
The way the referees are refereeing the games.
How frustrating was the referee for the Scotland Haiti?
Absolutely incredible. Literally any contact was a foul. And I know, listen, if we delved into it a wee bit deeper, yes, the Scotland performance wasn't great at all, but it certainly wasn't helped with the way the game was refereed. And
we've managed to get through this without even mentioning John Beaton's social media picture that was doing the rounds as well. So,
you know what I would say about that? It's a bit unfair that, because he's over there and he's having a drink. And it's dead easy to be swamped with fans, and a picture tells 1,000 stories.
Exactly. And you enter into the spirit of the occasion. Absolutely, yeah. Scott. Andy?
Yeah, I've been in many situations where I feel like I'm getting a harmless picture, and through that split second before the camera clicks that a fan's done something that puts you in a position. And like he says, I don't know how other John Beaton can really react except for turning away and refusing the photo, and then what's deemed that this horrible person that refuses photos with people. So it's not an easy situation. It's certainly not a good look. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sure there was certainly no malice in it from John Beaton's intent.
Great stuff, guys. Listen, are your body clocks back in order, Scott?
Just about. Struggling a bit yesterday, but we get through it.
You feeling okay?
I don't think I've napped at 5 o'clock in the evening since I was maybe 11-year-old, but I managed that yesterday, so it made me feel slightly better.
Well, great stuff. The next match is at 11 o'clock British summertime, so I think we'll all manage that. Listen, Scott Allan, Andy Halliday, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Remember, there are new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast every day. Don't miss out. Have push notifications turned on in your phone, and subscribe on BBC Sounds. Scotland are at the World Cup. Let's enjoy this moment. Scottish football, the gift that keeps on giving. Thanks for listening.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.